What's happening, guys, and welcome back to the channel. And somehow it finished Chelsea 1, Burnley 1 at Stamford Bridge. Chelsea dropping points in the league for the first time since September. I mean, I don't know how it finished 1-1, 25 attempts on goal, but a familiar problem resurfacing again. Lack of clinical finishing in front of goal. I mean, how you can have 25 attempts in a game and only have 4 or 5 on target? I'm kind of lost for words. George, what are your kind of thoughts on the game itself? I mean, we created enough chances to probably win 4 or 5 games of football.
Yeah, it was almost Norwich in reverse, really, because in the Norwich game, every chance we had, we seemed to put away. This one, we couldn't seem to get anything going, even though we created so many chances. Like you said, we only had a limited amount on target. Confused, frustrated is the word. We were speaking before the match about how much luxury we have in the sense of every position. You've got a potential goal scorer, and we've got goals from all over the pitch. But actually, sometimes in games like that, you need a number 9 who just gets the scrappy goal, who's a talisman. I think it's been well documented with Man City about, you know, the points that they've dropped this season about Sergio Aguero in games where he's been 6, 7 out of 10 performance-wise, but he has managed to find a goal to get them the 3 points. We missed that yesterday. We didn't have someone who knows how to put the ball in the back of the net again and again and again. Yes, these players can score the odd goal in the odd game here and there, like Chilwell, like Alonso, like Reece James, but really, yesterday we really lacked the experience as a so-called number 9, if you want to put it in brackets. And yeah, there's an element of Burnley getting extremely lucky because, you know, everything seemed to be saved or blocked. We hit the woodwork. You know, like you said, the amount of chances we had on another day could have been 4 or 5. So it's not a negative in the sense we didn't create anything, but yeah, it's been a problem that's been here for a few years now.
Yeah, I mean, I think yesterday was a prime example of exactly why we signed someone like Lukaku. You know, so many chances. He was, for me, if he plays yesterday, that game's put to bed at half time. It's 2 or 3-0, and we're not kind of sitting here having this conversation about drop points. I felt since he's been injured, this is the first game where we actually really missed him. Just someone up the top end of the pitch that can just put the ball in the net. And you know, it's great, as you mentioned, to have goals from centre halves, from wing backs, etc. But actually, it is also equally important to have players at the top end of the pitch that put the ball in the net. Because at the end of the day, that's what you're paying them to do. And if they're not doing that, what are they doing? As far as I'm concerned. But just very briefly on the lineup, no complaints from me per se. What I will say is I was slightly surprised that Ross Barkley started. Given the fact that, look, Hakim Ziyech has not been great in a Chelsea shirt, but the last few games he has kind of put a bit of momentum together and has done fairly well. Goal against Malmo was obviously well deserved, and I felt he probably deserved to keep his place in the lineup. But what did you think of Ross Barkley briefly starting?
Yeah, like you said, tough call, mate. I think you could have made a case for Hakim starting yesterday, but I have been a fan of Ross Barkley. If he's given a license to just go forward, it's probably the reason why he's not particularly trusted is his decision making. And sometimes, if you know, just giving the ball away cheaply. He's very talented going forward. There's no doubt about that. We've seen a couple of games. I mean, I saw him come on against Norwich, and then obviously in the cup game, I thought he played quite well. So maybe deserved a chance with a lot of options that we have that are slightly limited at the moment in those areas, but. I was surprised he was starting, but again, I wasn't too concerned about a result against Burnley, so I can kind of forgive Thomas Tuchel for maybe going something a bit different. But yeah, ultimately, again, it was his decision making in that final third that is the reason why he's not a starting player for Chelsea. Despite all of his decent work that he did on the ball, he's one of those players that is a fringe player for a reason.
Yeah, I didn't think he was particularly bad yesterday, but as you mentioned, you know, for me, he's just not Chelsea quality. It's as simple as that. His decision making, as you touched on in the final third, it's just dreadful. You know, just no awareness around him. The most obvious one, the one where Chile's literally to his left, just play him in. He's got a free shot on goal. With the form he's in, there's a chance that's at least on target, possibly going in the back of the net. But Barkley, you know, just thinking he's better than he is, just tries to take the shot and just smashes it miles over the bar. It's things like that, decision making in the final third, that he really needs to improve on. But let's be honest, the only reason he's anywhere near the side at the moment is because of our injury issues. Yes, I think credit to him not having a squad number at the start of the season, working really hard, obviously, on the training pitch to force his way back into the thinking, and then a few decent appearances from the bench. And I guess Tuchel, not to criticise him, felt he deserved the start. But I mean, for me, Barkley's not Chelsea quality. He's 28 next month. We can't keep referring to him as potential. I'm sick of it. He's not good enough for the club. So I'll always support the players on the pitch, but Barkley needs to go, mate. Not good enough. But George, you were telling me something interesting about N'Golo Kante. I mean, I was nothing against him. I think he's a fantastic football player, 100%. For me yesterday, he played well. He wasn't a reason why we didn't win. But for me, I'm not sure why we need, at home to Burnley, why do we need Jorginho and Kante in the middle of the park? It was a perfect game for Ruben Loftus-Cheek, someone to pick the ball up, drive at the Burnley defence, someone that's forward thinking in the middle of the park, because Jorginho and Kante aren't forward thinking. I just think this was the perfect game for Ruben Loftus-Cheek to play in there alongside a Kante or alongside a Jorginho. But yeah, for me, Kante, this wasn't a game we needed him. We could have just rested him and just, and let Ruben have another opportunity, because he fully deserves that.
Yeah, for me, I think it's almost the beginning of the end for Kante. I'm afraid to say. I think there's no doubt when he came in, the amount of quality that he gave us and how important he is in games, and he still does offer that. When he's on form, he is still so invaluable. He's still one of the best in the business, if not the best at what he does. But you've got to take into the fact that he's become incredibly injury prone the last couple of seasons. You've got to factor in his age. And I think Chelsea do need to start thinking about a way of playing without Kante. As sad as that is, like you said, mate, I think in games like that, we do need to be pragmatic and think that, can we do it without Kante? Do we need Kante's influence in the middle of the park there? Can we be a bit more attacking and risk-taking and go with a Loftus-Cheek, or, I don't know, even advance Kovacic or someone like that who can just play further forward? I know Kovacic is injured, but... or think of another attacking player that we could possibly bring in the summer to play there. I love Kante, but he hasn't, like you said, mate, I don't think he's had like a real outstanding performance for quite some time now in a blue shirt. And I'm not going to criticise Kante, because I think what he's given to us is unbelievable, and he's been an integral part of our success in the last 3 seasons. But yeah, for me, mate, I just think we need to start thinking about life after Kante.
Yeah, I agree. I honestly think he's played well since the second half against Tottenham away when we won 3-0. I think I agree with everything you say. For me, he's more like certain games Kante plays. He's not like it used to be. He's on the team sheet every week. I don't think we need him every week. And it feels like really harsh saying that. I'm not criticising him at all, but, certain games require different influences in the middle of the park. And at home to Burnley, you do not need 2 defensive-minded midfield players playing. And for me, it's as simple as that. But George, the goal itself from Kai Havertz, great to see him get on the score sheet. He doesn't score enough goals for me. The marking, obviously, absolutely terrible from Burnley, but it's a great ball in from Reece James. And his delivery is just outstanding. And obviously, Havertz, a free header in the box, he's still got to put it in. And it was a well-worked goal. George, a word on Reece James. How good has he been this season? I think he's really pushed on. I mean, adding goals to his game. His delivery, for me, second to none. And right now, I think it's probably the best right back in the league, hands down.
Yeah, he's immense. He's got everything. Page strength. The one thing that he had to work on was probably his defensive work, which is still needs to work on it. But going forward, mate, I mean, some of the balls, I mean, that like you said, the cross where he manages to bend it round the back four on a sixpence to Havertz, who has to do nothing else but just use the power of the ball to guide it in the net. I mean, it's as good as Trent's delivery with the football. He's just a shame that you've got Kyle Walker and Trent in front of him. If they weren't there, he would be the starter for England, no doubt. And I think he's been absolutely immense. He's just gone from strength to strength. I'm a huge fan of Reece James's.
Yeah, I think he's really, really pushed on at the start of this season. And, bar from some poor finishing, he probably has another 2 or 3 assists to his name. A great ball into the box again. Thiago Silva just can't quite sort himself up, ends up kind of heading it onto his shoulder and onto the post, a clean contact there, and it's probably, you know, another goal. But yeah, Reece James arguably probably been our standout player of the season so far. And yet, can't forget that he's actually missed quite a few weeks after picking up that ankle injury against Manchester City as well. But George, on the opposite side, Chilwell, for all his good form recently, this was a slightly poorer game from him. You know, can be forgiven, it happens. But yeah, he definitely wasn't up to his best. I thought defensively was okay. But yeah, going forward, it just wasn't quite happening for him yesterday, was it?
No. You know, you're going to get those games. It's not always going to be easy to unlock the door, especially when you play a side again. When they come to Stamford Bridge, they play a low block. It's more down to you to break the deadlock, and that can come from anything. I mean, if we had something like the Manchester United goal yesterday, where we just fizzing across or someone scores an own goal, that'll do. But for whatever reason, yesterday, just couldn't get the ball in the back of the net, and we can't blame Ben Chilwell for not being as good in the final third. But I thought defensively we were fine again. We just went to sleep for one moment, and that's cost us because we haven't killed off the game. You know, Kai Havertz again missing a few chances. Hudson-Odoi having a few chances himself. So yes, a sour one to take.
Yeah, so many chances. You mentioned Havertz, Hudson-Odoi, Thiago Silva, Christensen with a header in the first half that he's got to be putting into the back of the net.
Yeah.
Just a tale of frustration. I think that's the kind of the overriding feeling from yesterday. But you know, you touched on it. The Burnley goal. It's not really their only attempt on goal in the whole game, and just no matter how good you are defensively, and we are superb defensively, 1-0 is always a dangerous scoreline. It only takes one lapse in concentration, and you can give a goal away, and that's kind of exactly what happened. Rudiger, who's been immense, just switches off for a split second and ultimately plays them onside, and that costs us the game. But I think a bit of perspective is required. Yes, frustrating, but Liverpool threw away a two-goal lead against Brighton last weekend. Manchester City have lost to Crystal Palace at home, dropped points against Southampton. These things do happen in football. We've got to make sure that this isn't a regular occurrence. And the sooner we can get Lukaku back integrated into the team and playing to his strengths and scoring goals, I think some of our conversion issues might start to disappear. But it's not all doom and gloom. We're still going to be top of the league regardless of what happens in the Liverpool-West Ham game heading into the November international break. After 11 games, if you said we'd be top of the league, we both would have taken that. But yeah, a frustrating day at Stamford Bridge yesterday. Guys, as always, make sure you leave your thoughts in the comments below. Smash a like on the video, hit that subscribe button if you haven't, and we'll catch you in the next one.